Welcome, everybody, to the Shadow and Starlight Podcast, where two friends dive deep into fantasy and romantasy books. We get into the stories, characters, world building, lore, and more. And most importantly, we will have a damn good time while doing it.
So buckle your seatbelts for this wild roller coaster ride of emotions, magical worlds, and laughs. I'm Kinsey.
I'm Kana.
And today we're covering chapters 55 through 77 of When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker.
First and foremost, please listen carefully to our content warning. These are adult books we are covering, and neither of us have a filter, so this podcast is rated R and for those 18 plus. Regarding spoilers, if you have not finished the entire When the Moon Hatched book, please come back after doing so. While we are discussing a certain stretch of chapters, we will be doing so with the perspective of what happens in the entire rest of the book for better understanding. This will help us dive deeper into the theories and appreciate the masterful foreshadowing of Sarah A. Parker. So going forward, all episodes on our show will contain spoilers for the whole series in question.
Next, if you like what you hear today and want more, please come back next Thursday, and next Thursday, and next Thursday, and next Thursday, and every Thursday after that for a new episode. As a baby podcast, we love to hear your feedback to better ourselves and expand our book-loving community. Please feel free to give us reviews, reach out to us on social media, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and watch us on YouTube at Shadow and Starlight Pod.
Yes, I have to say I'm learning how to make content and it's not too bad, so go check it out.
She's killing it.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm just beginner level, but I'm funny.
It's pretty good.
All right, last announcement. 2 more weeks until we start covering Quicksilver by Callie Hart, so this is your sign to start reading it because it's really, really, really good.
Yay! Now Kana will give us our Shadow and Starlight synopsis, aka her unhinged summary of this stretch of chapters.
Yes. Kicking off this episode, Khan leads Raeve into his bedroom and they dry off with some towels. How disappointing. I know. He then takes her down a long and increasingly cold tunnel to a massive silver moon at the bottom. Raeve starts to panic at the incoming flood of emotion she's having, while Khan proceeds to tell her about Slatra and his lost love, Elowin. She has a flashback to awaking in the Scavenger King's cage, the same exact moon shards all around her that are in the cave bottom. He asks her who hurt her, and us as readers just die inside. Clearly, this was too much to handle for Raeve, though, who basically bullies Khan before just deucing out. Raeve is so pissed that she slaps herself and then storms back up the tunnel and steals a few blades on her way out. She may have had a lapse in brain function, but damn if she ain't resourceful at all times. Khan stops her on his way out, not to convince her to stay, but to make sure her revenge mission is fully funded. God, can this man do anything wrong? I've seen 0 red flags at this point.
No.
He tells her to chase death, and no big deal. He spent 23 years assembling those moon shards just to give her spirit peace. And as someone who has a mental breakdown trying to assemble like the easiest of furniture, any kind of technology, I cannot imagine being Khan and trying and failing to collect and assemble thousands of these little moon shards over and over again while dealing with like the cuts and the frostbite, because that's what he tells her later. That's how terrible it was. But anyways, after he leaves, Raeve finds herself drawn to the shore of the loft instead of starting her mission to play Rexaros from cock to throat. Interesting. She just can't leave, can't she?
Nope.
In this stretch of chapters, we get some Veya povs, and she is in pursuit of Elowin's diary. As relatable as ever, she thinks about how adorable Raigun is, and if she remembered to pack everything for her trip. She runs into Big Bro Khan, who is going to take care of a rabid dragon outside of Dhomm. The two discuss how showing Raeve Slatra's remains may or may not have been easing her into it, per se, but it's too late now. Back in Rave's pov, our favorite emotionally damaged assassin slaps herself again. Girl, go to therapy, please. Or therapy, please. Following a mysterious and all too familiar path, she stumbles upon a cozy little house. Exploring it at Claude's behest, she is struck with a vision of her in bed, happy, laughing, fooling around with Mr. Sexy Daddy Mystery Man, aka His Imperial Highness. Collapsing, she realizes that this used to be the home that they shared and is a relic of their love.
No.
All right, next touch of chapters. After taking care of a dragon that should have had a rabies shot, Khan joins Grimm for a joint Broody Boy session. Grimm requests leave to steal an egg from the great silver saber scythe, and though Khan warns him not to, he grants his request. Back to Veya again. She is traveling along the wall to Gore with an old friend, an old crone with a sense of humor and a colk cart used to transport refugees out of the Gore with Queen Dothia's help. The two bond over their hate for his imperial shit-stain, Kadok Bagor. Veya her in on her buck-wild plan to steal back a piece of jewelry from the Gore's velvet trog in order to get the prized diary back. Once she slides down the trash chute, she comes face to face with this particularly terrifying monster eating a whole ass chair as a snack and wearing Veya's bangle. And I gotta say, I had to look up what a bangle was because I had never heard of that before, and it's basically a bracelet.
Yeah, isn't it like the thick one?
Yeah, it's the one that's like stiff and doesn't have chains.
Yeah.
Veya learns from Ole Troggy that she consumes memories from the trash. The richer the memory, the more gooey her magical strings are that she decorates her trash palace with. Someone call HGTV and get this girl on Hoarder House Flippers. She makes a bargain with Troggy, her magical bangle for her mother's Malmer, and the chain on the bangle, and the deal is struck. Back to Raeve, it's time for some self-care. She takes a nice bath in a waterfall and does some journaling. She reflects on how she can't bring herself to leave this pocket of past happiness, even going so far as to fix up the home. She is learning to live without shackles or expectations and experiencing life freely for the first time. While her curiosity on her past life and why she ever left Khan grows, she is too afraid to face the trauma that comes along with it and the secrets in Elwyn's past. Khan returns to Dhomm and chats with Pyrock while he catches up with some paperwork. And I gotta say, thank God emails and texts don't work like the parchment larks fluttering around you until you open and grab them. That would be terrible. With the amount of emails and texts we all get nowadays. Khan is told of Rave's latest activities, and when he sees her from afar collecting shells and staring at Raggun's hutch, he is ready to have his heart broken all over again. Such a hopeless romantic.
Dang.
Back with Raeve, she has a deliciously steamy dream of her and Khan doing adult activities. Cue tension and Sarah Parker edging at its finest. She also goes outside and notices the dragons flirting, as well as drums and the dancing aurora ribbons in the sky. Oh my god, I have to say, how cool does this whole holiday festival sound?
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
It's like, cue my inner Veruca Salt. I want to be Faye, Daddy. I want to be
Faye. Who is her?
From Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She's like, Daddy, I want this.
Oh, I do remember her. I haven't seen that movie.
I'm like, Daddy, I want to be Faye. Except I can't do a British accent and save my life.
Yeah, me either. I can't help you.
It was
there.
funnier when I wrote it, okay?
I just didn't know who that was.
All right. Anyways, after she finds a mask, a dress, shoes, Khan's Malmer, and a note from this romantic-ass man, she decides she has got to have that D before she erases all this shit from her memory. Pyrock arrives later to be Rave's escort to the festival. She takes in the wonders and the masked fashions of the festival, deciding to go into the Netherin-inspired dome, not yet ready to face Khan. She steps into a dome that is a near exact depiction of the Moonplume nesting grounds, grabbing a cocktail and joining a high flyer game of Scrippy after robbing Pyrock to buy herself in. No surprise, but these high flyers are condescending assholes, thinking they just scored big time. And then Raeve wins round after round, having assembled a small mountain of gold. Khan shows up, and everyone else but the dealer monster dude leaves after bowing deeply to Khan. Determined to end this night with a bang and experience love for just one night, she offers Khan a deal after telling him that loving her is a waste of his big, big heart. And big other things as well. Anyways. when really she just needs therapy and some self-love and to let other people in. If she wins the next round, they will spend the night together. Yay! But she will wipe him from her memory right after. Boo. If Khan wins, he gets to ask her 3 questions. And we know he's probably going to ask her about what the hell happened to her. And she don't want to talk about it. After throwing back her drink, our genius woman, of course, wins the round and asks a cold and detached Khan to dance with her. And he reluctantly agrees. Our final chapter in this stretch is actually a Khan Pov who is half brokenhearted and half clinging to every second with his love. The two quickly get wrapped up in the moment until Raeve hides from the dragon flame that blazes across the sky in order for Khan not to see all of her scars. After hunting her for 123 years, this man has fucking had it with her antics. He quickly finds her and they lay beneath the moon. She reveals to him that she lost someone, and wow, look at you, Raeve, being vulnerable. And he begins to understand why she is acting the way she is and taking such extreme measures. After arguing about whether they are pretending or not, they eventually share a kiss and fucking about damn time, all right? Finally, just a little smidge of something.
I can't wait to discuss their scrippy game later. It's one of my favorite parts. I'm excited.
That was a fun scene the whole holiday.
It was. Because they're both like geniuses. So to see them like play each other in this really intense game, it was like, yay.
I know. I honestly didn't know who was going to win. I was hoping it wouldn't be Raeve.
It could have went either way.
I was like, you don't need to wipe your memory, you little...
No.
You little sweet woman.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the diary entries in this stretch of chapters. So, basically, Khan shows up every night and serenades Elwyn while she eats, and this lasts for about a week. Given that Tyroth isn't serenading and feeding Elwyn, she slowly starts to actually appreciate this time that her and Khan have together every evening. And it also doesn't help that Khan plays the song that Elwyn's parents used to sing to her. So like these moments are really hitting the home. This makes Elwyn very emotional, which is given. She's just lost her whole family. So like understandable. And she proceeds to sing along with him, and she becomes very vulnerable around Khan as she cries in front of him, which is a big thing for Elwyn. Well, Raeve, but Elwyn was pretty much the same with her feisty self. Crying in front of him opened up a lot. Yeah. Khan mysteriously leaves for a while, but somehow our girl Elwyn is still left with a fresh meal each night. And oh, Elwyn actually misses Connie Poo.
Connie Poo Poo.
Connie Poo Poo. She actually misses him.
She'll never admit it.
She'll never admit it, no. And let's not forget the combat lessons that she's still receiving from Veya. So while Khan is gone, she's still meeting up with Veya and receiving combat lessons. And finally, Khan returns. Yay! But not without a fresh scar and proof of his love. That's right, Khan nearly died to retrieve a scale from the silver saber scythe in order to carve his Malmer, which is a depiction of a moon plume and a saber scythe bound together. And let's not forget to mention that he only needed the scale for half of the Malmer. So he went, risked his life, faced off with this silver saber scythe, the one that's supposed to be so powerful, and retrieved the scale for only half of his Malmer. He did all that for that, which literally is proof of his love. So my question is, Raeve, not Elwyn, but Raeve, our new reincarnated Raeve, why is it so hard for you to see that this man actually loves you? Like, he did all of this. Come on now. Oh. Anywho, as if secretly meeting with her brother-in-law isn't enough, she kisses him. Well, he kisses her, but she initiates it. So basically, she kisses him. As if secretly meeting and kissing her brother-in-law isn't enough, she bangs him.
Yeah, she does.
And yes. And then they run away to a secret retreat. And Elwyn is racking up quite the reputation in her new home. She's
on the floor, on the sofa, on the bed, on the table,
just everywhere.
Yes, our girl's getting it.
Yeah. All jokes aside, though, in this stretch of chapters, Khan falls endlessly in love with Eowyn, and they hit a new high in their relationship and form an indestructible bond. So cute.
Yes. Ugh, I loved reading those chapters. It was so cute. Their actual love story developing.
Yeah.
And they just fell head over heels. It was so cute. Ugh. All right. Now that we are finished with the summary, time to head into our chapter chat section where we will discuss all notable things in the stretch of chapters, including theories, foreshadowing, and more.
Yeah. The first thing we're going to talk about is our girl Slatra, aka one of our favorite dragons ever. In chapter 55, Khan takes Raeve to his secret tunnel where he has been collecting Slatra shards from her fall from the sky. Khan explains that he's
Wait. I'm in the gutter right now. You were like, Khan takes Raeve to his secret tunnel. And in my head, I was like, where he bangs her. But no, that is indeed not what happened.
The opposite. Literally the opposite
happened. Not what happened. All right, sorry. I just had to let you know where I was at.
Khan explains what he's done here, and Raeve takes a closer look at the dragon. An interesting thing about this scene is the familiar feelings that Raeve experiences as she takes note of the odd position the dragon was in. Quote, almost feeling the cold expanse between her slit nostrils pressed against my brow, the solidified tuft of her tail cushioning my chest, end quote. As we know in this scene, the shards that Khan has put together, Slatra was still curled up in the shape of her moon. And Raeve takes note of this, and she also says, quote, as though Slatra gave her final breath cradling something bundled with the silken tendrils of her once soft tail, end quote. So immediately after she notices the position of the dragon, Raeve can almost feel Slatra cradled around her and taking her final breaths. It's almost like she's feeling some familiar things as if she was there, question mark.
Possibly.
Khan is paying a lot of attention to her in this moment. He actually acknowledges her reaction and says, quote, you're familiar with it. Wasn't a question. I think that Khan pretty much already knows that Raeve is experiencing a familiar fondness to the dragon. I don't think anyone who had as strong of a bond with their dragon as Eowyn did could just forget even in another lifetime, which is, I think, is what like really sparked these emotions because they had such a strong bond.
I wonder, you know how Khan and Rhaegon are the Dagamork people? They're like that special bond.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Eowyn and Slatra like were that, or if they would have become that.
Yeah,
because I feel like they did have a really strong bond too.
They did.
So I wonder if they are.
I don't know if it has something to do with Eowyn being in the moon with Slatra too that plays a role in it, because even for Raeve to die and then come back to life, and for her to still have these flashbacks and remember her dragon almost, it's like really, like it proves that bond.
Yeah, I think so too. Another thing I thought was interesting in regards to Slatra is the physical feelings Raeve describes after seeing the moon shard remains. Quote, I stepped around the dragon, pausing at the spot where Slatra's head is nuzzled deep into the tuft of her tail. My heart stills, breath catches. A bludgeoning bang inside my chest almost makes me lose my balance. End quote. In previous episodes, we have expressed our main theory about Slatra's last shard maybe being Eowyn's heart, which was the essence that kept her alive while she and Slatra were curled up for so many phases. So in the scene, bang is italicized, kind of insinuating a weird feeling coming from her chest. If the last shard is actually her heart, I feel like this quote kind of proves that in a sense. Something else I wanted to talk about during the scene is that Slatra is ready to break free to defend Raeve from Khan even. Quote, Khan brings the flame so close to my face, I'm certain he's about to smear it across my skin. And I become innately conscious of the fact that something inside me is watching, listening, violently aware that my other is on the brink of breaking free, end quote. It's interesting that the other is so angry that Khan summoned fire in front of her that she seems to want to break free and, I'm assuming, harm him in this moment. She's so fiercely protective of Raeve, which is interesting since up to this point, she's mostly tried to push Raeve towards Khan and towards facing her past life and her trauma. However, we know how terrified Raeve is of fire. She clearly went through a lot of things that revolved around fire. And so does Slatra. She knows that too. So she's ready to draw a line in the sand when it comes to that, regardless of whether it's Khan or not. And I was also just thinking about Slatra and thinking about how if she was part of Raeve this whole time, she had to like endure seeing, feeling, hearing Raeve go through everything that happened to her with the Scavenger King. And that was so sad because I can't imagine. I wonder also in Rave's time with the Scavenger King, did the other break through a lot when she was fighting in the pits? Did Slatra help her? I've never thought about that until recently, and I kind of
Yeah.
wonder how many times has the other taken over?
I also wonder, like, when the other actually started taking over, did she actually appear during her time with the Scavenger King, or was it after she left and after she felt how traumatized Rafe was after that? So I wonder, like, when that all actually
Yeah.
started.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought. All right. We need to talk about chapter 55. Not that chapter. Get your minds out of the gutter. Rave's a flashback. Okay. Because it was a lot. There was a lot to process there. So I want to read a quote off to get us started. Quote, a strange trundling sound had roused me from my eternal sleep. I'd blinked my eyes open for the first time, taking in the world I've been born into through the iron bars of what I now know is called a cage. My brutal waking was fraught with confusion while I tried to work out how I fit inside my body, how it worked and moved, why everything was blurry. End quote. From this quote, we can assume that this was when Raeve hatched or was reincarnated. She opened her eyes for the first time and she appears to be in a cage. So we can assume that this is the Scavenger King's cage. He probably found her after her and Slatra fell from the sky and brought her back here. Next few words in the flashback. Quote, warm, yet I trembled violently. I thought that it was the heat, but now I know that's not the case. My soul was shuddering from the inside out. I reached forward, finding something heavy and cold clamped around my wrist, an item I now know to be a shackle. So, yet another hint to the beginning of her deep trauma she experienced during her time with the Scavenger King. It's assumed that he somehow used heat or fire as a way to punish his prisoners, as described here. It was very warm. And man, I would like to see some fan art of the dungeons. I just don't feel like I have a mental picture of what they probably look like. It'd be interesting to see. All right,
Yeah.
next part. Quote, I clung to the bars in the effort to steady myself in this strange existence where I had hands that moved, lungs that breathed, and eyes that could see, my stare narrowing on the source of the sound that had drawn me into existence. Strange reading these lines because it's almost like she's being born again and having to relearn everything, and she's seeing the world as if a baby would. It's interesting. It's like Slatra seeing through the eyes of a human, or not a
Yeah.
human, a fae.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's got to be super weird realizing you're like living and breathing again and having to just relearn all your bodily functions as an adult. Sounds terrible. She
I
didn't know how to
know.
read or write.
Yeah.
Oof. Our girl went through so much. Quote, a cart being wheeled down the length of a dusky burrow past my place of waking. In its deep hollow sat jagged shards of silver brightness that gave off a lapping chill I wanted to splash upon my face. The shards were so beautiful against the dim of my surroundings that I was immediately certain my place of waking was not good, but bad. Because no matter how hard I grunted and screamed, trying to beg the creature that was pushing the cart to please bring it closer so I could have a proper look at the pretty shards I desperately wanted to touch, he did not so much as look at me. The shards disappeared, and I realized mere moments into my existence what it meant to be trapped. So this is her dream flashbacking to when she actually saw the moon shards that Kana's been collecting right after she hatched in the cage with the Scavenger King. So we know that he got her directly after she hatched. There was no time in between when she hatched and when she went to the Scavenger King.
Right. I found it interesting too because earlier we were talking about Khan collecting all the shards from Slatra, and then here we see that not only did the Scavenger King find Raeve, but also the shards. So I'm wondering how Khan actually got the shards from like Slatra, and if everyone knew that Slasha took Raven to the sky, like, did they not expect her to come back? Where did they think that she would be if she fell from the sky with
Would they just
her
think that
dragon?
she was like burnt up or something? I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Like Ash, I don't
I
know.
feel like that would have been my first
I
question
guess
if,
I feel like Khan would have been looking for her more specifically than just the shards.
yeah.
Maybe,
And
I don't
it's
know.
like,
Unless that's why he
if,
started looking for the shards.
yeah, if he had to go like near where the Scavenger King was to get the shards, like, how did he not discover Elowen or Raeve? Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, all the time, like the time frame and like the different, I don't know, the gaps are like really messing with me because I'm like, I want to know.
I know. How is the Scavenger King's whole torture battle pit situation, whatever it is, stayed under the radar for this long?
I know.
And what has
Because,
he been
like,
waiting
you
for
would
to like get
assume,
revenge?
I know. And it's like, yeah, why is it taking so long for you to execute your plan? You would assume he has multiple prisoners because that's where Rafe met, what's her face? Balin. I was picturing it as dungeons when I was reading it, so I was like, I'm assuming he has multiple prisoners. How does this work? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know.
All right, let's talk about Elowen's death because it is also hinted in this stretch of chapters as well. It isn't discussed much, but again, it is hinted multiple, like a couple times. And one of the biggest hints that we get is during the conversation between Khan and Pyrock. Let me give some brief background here. Pyrock is asking Khan if he intends to invite Raeve to the Great Flurrt, which is predicted to happen within the next 30 decade. And so Pyrock basically wants to know if Khan was intending on inviting Raeve. And Khan says, quote, "The last great flirt we spent together was the last time I saw her alive. We spent the slumber together, and the following day, I flew off to help rebuild a village. The next time I saw Elowen, her limp body was being carted into the sky by her mourning dragon." End quote. Not gonna lie, Papa Vagor was pretty smart with his execution during such a bustling event. I feel like this is a great distraction. People are distracted, they're drinking, dancing, dragons are mating. This is a great time to really execute a murder.
A murder.
Um And to put the icing on the cake, Khan was nowhere to be found. He was away helping another village, so her protector isn't here. I'm assuming that I don't know where Tyroth was, but I don't really think he would care at this point. And so, literally, this is the perfect place and time for her execution. And so now we know that one, Elowen died from a stab to her heart. We also know that her execution happened sometime after she gave birth to Kaisari, and then now we know it happened during the last Great Flurrt. And now we're just missing a few other details to really tie the story together, but we are slowly getting more hints about how she died.
I kind of feel like Tyroth knew that his dad was gonna kill Elowen.
Oh yeah, he just didn't
Like
care.
I know he's rumored to be like the sad king who lost his great love, but he definitely never loved her.
No, not at all.
Definitely not. So I think he was probably in on it. I don't know whether he did it or Ostern did it. I don't know.
Dude, what if they planned something to happen in a different village just to get Khan away? Because
I'm pretty sure they did almost.
didn't Ostern know about Raven Khan? Because he literally blackmailed her and was like, "You're gonna
Yeah,
pretend
he
like this
told
is
her
my
he was
son's
like, you
baby."
need to, yeah, you
Yeah.
need to leave. I think
Mm.
we get to that next episode. It's well, obviously, because it's our final episode. We gotta get to it. All right. We're gonna move into our theories, and oh my gosh, this is the one I'm most excited to talk about today. And it's about Veya's povs when she talks about her memory loss and her magical bangle bracelet, whatever the fuck it is. So while she's going to retrieve her dumpster jewelry, we can piece together that she has some memory loss from her inner monologue, leaving us with more questions than I had last episode. Freaking great. So while telling her cab driver, I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I think it's Noev.
Ooh, Noev.
I think that's how you
That
say
she
it.
tells her that she left the bangle in Gore over 100 phases ago, and she reveals she has a blank in her head and, quote, inky smudge that somehow feels both void and unfathomably hefty, end quote. So when she tossed the bangle down the trash chute, she was, quote, certain it had something to do with the reason I had a blank spot the size of 30 Aurora cycles smudged in my mind, end quote. And on my first read, I don't think I thought this was like a big deal. But on this read, I was like, why doesn't she remember 30 aurora cycles. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think this timeline has anything to do with like Raeve and Kaisari's timeline we were discussing the other day. I have no clue. But 30 years is a fat chunk of time. So that's interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think?
Like you said, like my first read, I didn't pay much attention to it until I think I saw maybe TikToks on it. And then, like, again, like the second reread, I was like, why did I not catch this the first time? I don't even think I annotated that part, which is weird because I like find myself annotating just the basic stuff and just going back and trying to figure out what it meant. But I feel like it's going to probably lead to Veya's own story. I feel like this is very important in regards to Veya. We just don't know it yet. And like you said, I don't think it has much to do with Elowen and Kaisari. Maybe, maybe not. But I think it's like going to be a bigger picture for or a bigger story for Veya herself.
Yeah, I'm excited to know her whole entire story.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, so still on this, when the Velvet Trog eats the bangle chain, she certainly enjoys like the memories and secrets that are spilling out as she, munches on it. And I'm just like, what is she seeing that she's like, oh, so delicious? Veya is insistent that she doesn't want to know what she's tasting. Quote, I move around the piles of trash, arm heavy with the bangle I once won from a deeply troubled mind weft who claimed she knew how to speak the language of ether, that she studied the book of void in length and knew the secret to our significant existence. She told me the bangle would serve me in two ways, that both would be painful but necessary. Don't remember the first, so can't speak for that. Probably won't want to remember the second either. End quote. I know that was a big fat quote, but whoa.
Yeah, that's very, very
What?
interesting.
I don't even know where to start. But first of all, the Book of Void. What? I'm assuming this is that same book that like the Roonies learn from, the one that Kalis is rumored to have written out of his loneliness. So I'm assuming that's the Book of Void because it makes sense. Kalis is like the void since he's like a lack of
he's
substance.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, although that I don't think that's confirmed since it wasn't mentioned as the Book of Void earlier. I also want to know what the heck is this mind weft character that gave this to Veya, and what did he know about her and the future? I don't know. It's confusing, and I'm certain this is something like really big, and I didn't really pay that much attention to it again on the first read, but I think we'll definitely find out in the next book. Hopefully, as we get more Veya povs, and we'll start to unravel her secrets around this memory loss and all this craziness.
Yeah. I also find it interesting that the mind weft claimed to speak the language of ether. So like, I'm curious to what that looks like or what that means because we know that Kalis is trapped in the ether stone. So could a mind weft get Kalis out of the ether stone? We know that's Kaisari's goal right now. And so if the mind weft is quote unquote like an expert at ether, could the mind weft play a role in, what am I trying to say? The opposite of trapped. Get him out of the ether stone, I guess. Yeah, free him from the ether stone.
The opposite of trapped. Yes, that one. All right. I also wanted to touch on Queen Dothiya because I thought it was really interesting. She clearly opposes her husband's Kadoc's rule. We learn in chapter 62 that Veya's friend Noev has been sneaking people out of the Fade with Dothiya's assistance. And Noev tells Veya that the queen has not contacted her since she tried to stall Rave's execution. Quote, guess it doesn't look good for your significant other to publicly oppose a ruling of your guild, especially when that ruling's against a member of the Fjord Oath. End quote. Seeing how close she used to be with Elowen, the queen, per se, or at least she cared for Elowen, and how she's actively working against her husband's rule, I'm not hopeful for her future unless she's rescued at some point or escapes gore, because I feel like she really got herself in some hot water, and I feel like she hates her husband as she should. But yeah. Actually, I don't know. I haven't read any of Sarah Parker's other series, so I don't know if a lot of people in her series die or if she more favors happy endings. But I could see like her possibly dying before the series ends. That's a totally random like opinion and prediction I have.
I don't know. I feel
why.
like I don't know. I guess sad when characters cry, so I don't want to even predict that. But I wonder because you say you don't like you wouldn't be on her side until like she's away from the king to really see like where her head's at. I wonder if she was put in the same situation where she was more so forced to marry him, and she just hasn't used her resources to escape or get out of that situation. I don't know. I mean, I feel like all the kings are very powerful, especially Khan's other brothers, Tyroth and how you say the other dude name?
K-Doc?
K-Doc. Yeah, they're more hostile than Khan is as far as, and they don't really believe in the whole love thing. They're just doing it for literally their crown and their rule. So I'm curious to see, can she even escape at this point? I feel like she's too deep in there now.
Yeah. I don't know. If you guys have read a lot of Sarah A. Parker's other books, let us know. Reach out to us on social media and tell us if she likes to kill people's favorite characters. Hopefully not. Or if she mostly likes happy endings, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to talk about another random theory and prediction I have. I feel like it was brought up so many times in the stretch of chapters. I just feel like it means something, or maybe it doesn't, but maybe it's setting up another plot line for future books. By the end of the stretch of chapters, Grimm has not returned, so we will likely hear about his fate in book 2 because he went to go get one of the great silver eggs. He went to go steal one. And it does not seem coincidental either that Khan had a vision to go get a scale from this dragon to craft his Malmer, the proof he deserved his and Elowen's love. And I just thought that was interesting, like how this great silver saber scythe was tied to Khan and Elowen's love, and now it's also tied to a member of one of the inner circle. And I'm like, okay, these eggs, I feel like that's interesting. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a plot line in the next book.
Yeah, it's definitely mentioned a lot. So I feel like it is important because, I mean, even towards the end of the book, like it's still mentioned. So I'm like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And why is
definitely.
this saber scythe so like popular? They always specifically state that it's a silver saber scythe.
I think the saber scythes are the ones that are like brown and copper, and that's the one that you were like, damn, that's a lot of coats.
Oh
But it was a
yeah.
lot of like brown tones. So the
Yeah.
silver one must be like ultra rare,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I think so. I also wanted to talk about Kaisari in the theories section, just because I feel like she's going to be so important. There wasn't a lot of Kaisari mentions in this stretch, but Khan mentions her a few times, not by name, but we can surmise who it is from the context of the conversation. Quote, she'll eventually be recognized by either of the twins, both of which have access to a certain tool. Perfect leverage to fold her into submission once they blow the lid off that jar. Lovely. End quote. So he's talking about Raeve in the situation, that she's going to be recognized if she goes to the Fate of the Shade by K-Doc or Tyroth because she is Eluin. And they're talking about a tool, which is obviously Kaisari. Like, K-Doc and Tyroth both have access to Kaisari because she's the princess, and they can use her to manipulate Raeve if they ever recognize her. So, And also, I'm curious what will happen when Kaisari finds out about her mother, what her reaction is going to be, if we're going to get a paw from her, and also like how it will go when Raeve is reunited with Kaisari. I don't know. Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah. I really just hope that it's at a point where Raeve has actually come to terms with her death and her coming back in her past life, so it can be a more wholesome moment and not Raeve like meeting her daughter and her denying it and just being in denial of the whole thing. So I hope it's a good moment. So Raeve got to get her shit together.
I wish it would be, but I have a feeling it's not going to be for some reason. I don't know. I also wonder if there's going to be a time when K-Doc or Tyroth attempt to use Kaisari's leverage. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be a situation, or just honestly how long she's going to be with the Scavenger King. I don't know.
I feel like
That's
that'll
also a whole
definitely
other
happen.
thing. Let's hit our favorite moments and quotes. I feel like that got depressing.
It did, low key.
I know why. Let's just talk about dragons. Or fiddles.
Y'all, I got some major fiddle PTSD during this stretch of chapters. I don't know why, but in one of the first diary entries, Khan meets Elohim at Slaughter's hut with a string instrument. And immediately, my mind goes to a certain character who shall not be named from a certain book series who played the freaking fiddle. And we end up hating him. I don't hate Khan, but it's just like, I was like, man, this does not look good for you. You just lost like 2 cool points. Like, why?
Can you not just be like, picture in your head? He's Has like a guitar, like a little
I
ukulele.
couldn't picture anything else but the fiddle. I don't know why, but like the fiddle
Damn,
it was the forefront of my mind. I was like,
you're a
dang
fiddle
it.
ass bitch.
And it bothered me so bad because I just cannot picture Con Luke Bagor playing the damn fiddle. But yeah, Sarah, both of the Sarahs, I just realized that Sarah A. Parker and Sarah J. Maas have the same name basically. So both the Sarahs kind of messed me up with that one. Got major,
Yeah,
major
sometimes on the outline
PTSD.
I write Sarah J. Parker, and I'm like, wait, that's not right.
My next favorite moment, which I've been waiting to talk about, is Con and Rave's tension that we get during their game of Scrippy. Basically, just during the Great Flirt in itself. Most good banter and a slow burn romance comes with some heavy tension, and we get this tension between Rave and Con during the Great Flirt. Quote, he's watching me, his stare so intense it almost siphons all the breath from my lungs. Not that I let on, end quote. It doesn't help that this celebration is literally for mating dragons, and it's obviously that Khan is in high hopes that he and Rave will be a part of the celebration. But Rave doesn't. but Rave, yeah. but Rave doesn't want to court Khan, and it like means something. No, she wants to just bank him out of her system and go on to chop off wreck Zaros' head and wipe Khan from her
Zacharias.
memory. In this stretch of chapters, Raeve is piecing a lot of things together that she doesn't acknowledge out loud, or she just proceeds to stuff it down into her eternal lake. During the Great Flirt, however, she has a vision previously that we just talked about that basically shows her that she was very important to Khan in their past lifetime. And she uses this to her advantage as she strikes a clever deal with Khan that might end up causing more pain for the both of them. And I just love the tension presented in these moments. It's literally proof that Raeve is choosing to ignore her feelings and discoveries versus really deal with them. And the Scrippy game was just a great scene because, like me and Kana said earlier, like we didn't know who was gonna win because it literally could have went both ways because they're both really smart. So it's really cool.
Raeve is a sneaky little bitch.
Yes, she is. She is. It was a bold move she pulled at the end.
Yeah, she said, "You got rabies, motherfucker."
So to add on to this Scrippy game, I don't know why, but I just got greedy every time characters played this game in the book. I don't know why, but the last episode we were comparing Scrippy to Dungeons and Dragons, and I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, nor do I understand the concept of the game, but I just think it's really cool, and then one day I would hope to learn it and play it someday. I don't know why, but like the fact that yes, I want to play it so bad. Like I know people who play it and they talk about it all the time. Dude, it sounds so cool. Like where can I sign up?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, we're on that nerd level where we're wanting to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Literally.
It sounds amazing, knowing zero information about it.
Literally. It just has the word dragons in the title. That's all I need.
Yes. Amen.
But yeah, I don't know why, but like the fact that Veya and Raeve both are experts at this game, like literally gives me chills. It's major girl power here. And the way that Raeve just wiped everybody that was playing with her at the Great Flirt out of the game, just slaying the table.
All right. One of my favorite moments, kind of more than a moment, but it's fine, is just the amazing writing. Sarah A. Parker, you are amazing at writing romance and just writing in general. There are so many like layers and metaphors and parallels to her writing that you can pick up on each read, and I just can't get enough of it. I love her writing. I love the metaphor and the visualization of Boulder cradling the fallen moon in chapter 55. That really, I was like, wow. Quote, he's a nest, I realize, can almost picture him crouched, hands cupped before his chest, curled under this beautiful moon while he looks down upon it, treasures it, nurtures it, end quote. This is very symbolic of Khan and Rave's relationship and past. As we know, Khan has a very protective nature in a wholesome sense. In the journal entries during the specific stretch, we see how treasured and nurtured Eloin was by Khan at the darkest time in her life. Even with Raeve, he continues this despite her resistance, general murderous instincts, and her use of words to wound him over and over and over again. God damn it, Raeve. Okay, another one of my favorite moments was like Kenzie, the entire Great Flirt. I just ate this whole scene up. I almost read it twice, I think, in my first read. I definitely kept backing up a couple pages like every once in a while. And oh my gosh, I just want to go so bad. It sounds amazing. I really want to go to a masked anything. So that's the first reason why I want to go so bad. Two, Raeve fucks up some rich assholes in Scrippy, so I love that. 3, the romance, obviously. And 4, because I knew there's gonna be a spicy scene coming soon. I can feel it in my nuggets. And I feel like I have a spice detector, and I just start vibrating whenever I can feel like. But anyways, I just loved how the scene flowed and the nuances in each interaction. It was just so fun. It was not boring at all, even though it wasn't like filled with epic battle or anything. There was just so much happening.
Yeah.
My last favorite moment is Elwyn and Khan's first kiss. Oh, I was just swooning over this and how it's described, like with his Malmer and their dragons. I love like the yin yang thing they have going on with each other. And this quote I'm about to read is one of the most iconic in the book, in my opinion. And it highlights the balanced contrast between them. Quote, "He's fire and brimstone. I'm shattered ice. Our collision is steam and destruction, destined to dissipate. But I'll gladly burn beneath him until the world comes crumbling down." End quote. I love that. How his Malmer depicts their dragons and overall personalities. I love the yin yang thing. And this quote is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the quotes I highlighted and drew hearts around and stuff like that in my book because it was just so cute. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I love it. Cute. I love how we're getting like, it's the same romance, but it's like 2 romances in one book.
Literally. And like this stretch of chapters, we got a lot of like double romance between Khan and Elwyn and Khan and Raeve. So it's really nice. Yeah. And it's funny how I'm like the sucker for romance, but you've been swooning, girl.
That's because can. Not can. It's awful. Khan is my type of man. And it's because he's so like Cassian. And you know how I feel about Cassian?
Oh, yeah.
Even my husband would be like, "Who's this Cassian guy?" It's always on your audiobooks. And him and Khan are very similar. So yeah. This is why I'm dying over here. Okay? Wait till we do 4th Wing and you're like, oh my god, Xaden.
Xaden. Oh, that's my type of man right there.
Yeah, no, you like the Shadow Daddies. I like the himbos that are emotionally intelligent.
Oh, I need like set me straight. Like, I can't wait to get into
Lay
that.
It down.
Just
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you need to read Quicksilver, bro.
I've been reading it.
Literally. Oh yeah, what part you at?
I was at the same part I was at last time.
God damn it. All right, let's keep going.
All right, folks, time to close out our chapter chat section and move on to our myths and magic portion, where we will explain a world-building aspect of When the Moon Hatched and also dive into the mythology that inspired some of this world. Today, we will be talking about the various creatures mentioned throughout the story, some of which are adorable and some that will make me shit myself. I didn't read this before.
Love a good balance. Sometimes me and Mackenzie just leave each other little gold nuggets in the script somewhere so that we're like, what the fuck when we read it in our brains. All right, so before we get into the creature wiki, we're going to talk about the little bit of mythology that we have for today's episode, and it's some of the dragon names that we learned in the stretch of chapters. I'm going to do my best on the pronunciations, but I really have no idea what I'm doing. Zeki, yeah, is Veya's dragon, which is of Hebrew origin, and naming your offspring, or in this case, dragonness, means they have a captivating presence. So, no idea if that's where she inspired it, but I thought it was cute. And I also don't know how to pronounce this. Ara?
That's how I said it in my head. Yeah.
Ara.
The
great silver saber scythe possesses this name. From what I found, it may come from Sino-Korean characters. I'm so sorry.
I don't know.
Meaning beautiful or elegant. And the next dragon is Navut. These don't sound like
go for it.
This is the name of one of the saber scythes available in Dhomm for traveling, and I found out it is a Hebrew word that means navigate. So seeing as this little cutie dragon is basically the Uber version of dragons,
Yeah.
it seems fitting that it means to navigate. And that's pretty much it. While we did learn a lot of new names and small kind of world building aspects, I didn't really find more related or notable mythology connections to any terms in this stretch of chapters. So that's unfortunately it.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the creatures that were mentioned in the stretch of chapters, starting with the Elden Bird. The Elden Bird is a mythical bird-like creature born from ashes and flames. And when I went back to the glossary to reference this and figure out what the Elden Bird was, for some reason I can only picture the creature as the Mockingjay from the Hunger Games, because it's engulfed in flames. I don't know, I just how I pictured it.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to picture it like that because that makes a lot of sense. Also, while we're talking about the Elding, who is this mofo and can we trust him?
No, for real.
The Elding, the head of the Fjordoth, we know zero information about this dude.
No.
I don't even know.
I'm gonna assume you pronounce this funny call.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with it. The funny call is a winged, leathery beast with stumpy necks and big, gloomy eyes. They are less than half the size of an average molten maw and are able to blend with the rust-toned stone in the burn. They can cling to cliffs and ceilings and have bat-like wings, and they can be ridden. So I assume these creatures are like a miniature version of a dragon, but not as cool as a dragon since they can be ridden. They're pretty small in comparison to a dragon, but the Funny Call does make many brief appearances throughout the book. Funny Call was mentioned right before the Tuca trial. Zoran, I'm going to assume that's how you say his name, he had one on the back of his shoulders, and you would think it would make him look really cool for that, but he died, so.
Rave's hair, also from the Tuca trial, it's apparently the color of Fanica eyes, which is how it's described according to Siza during the Tuca trial, and their eyes are described as like gloomy. So her hair is gloomy. Mm-hmm. She's a real goth girl.
Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about the Fae, or more so the origin of the Fae. So, Fae, as described in the glossary, they're the more common folk in this world. They aren't immortal, but they have an exceptionally long lifespan, and the Fae have pointed ears and sharp canines and are primal by nature. While doing some research on just the book in general, I couldn't find any exact answers about the origin of Fae in regards to this world. I wanted to figure out where exactly they came from. But we do know that in the beginning of this book, there was basically nothing, and Kalis made up the empty space while the other creators created the land, water, weather, and fire. And after this, the Sarah writes, quote, life bloomed. So we know that they just appeared. I don't know how, or I want to know how, but we don't know how they appeared. Life just started blooming after this. In quotes, he watched in quiet wonder as, upon this lush and fertile canvas, he gifted his emptiness, life bloomed, a various cacophony of folks who littered the land in snow and sand. Some with hearing sharper than the tips of their ears, making them privy to the 4 other elemental songs, a number of whom learned their languages, spoke them, and found power in them. Others fell upon a silver book, some say Kalis wrote in his desperation to be heard, who found a different form of power in those runes nobody could read or pronounce, discovering that the strange markings could be wielded, end quote.
Book of Void, question mark?
I feel like they have to be connected somehow, because literally Kalis is literally a void, basically. He's space.
I think
so. It's I
think it is.
It makes sense.
I'd bet 25 cents.
It's a good investment. So we know that the creators made up everything in this world right now, and then out of nowhere, various Fae and creatures just stumbled upon the world. Some Fae being able to hear and use the elements to draw power from them, and others who didn't have the ability but could study and learn runes.
Yes, it's interesting. All right, the next creature, and of course I have to talk about him because he's my beloved creature, the Fate Herder. This animal is a large, silver, feline-like creature that is more legend than reality. Those who have seen it are often considered crazy or delusional, boasting stories about the beast and nudging them to make a different decision than the one they've intended. This creature is basically depicted as a giant, fluffy kitty cat, in my head, They're known to have an easygoing, unbothered personality, especially the one mentioned during the Tuca trial. It was very unbothered by everything going on. It was just mostly napping. Its
Yeah.
only task was to ensure Raeve met the fate it intended her to. And other than that, it did not give a fuck. We don't know what motivates the fate herders to convince others to make certain decisions or where exactly they decide to intervene. But we know that they are stubborn and will not leave until fate is decided. Next, the Velvet Trog. So this is what Veya had to deal with. And my god, sounds terrifying. So large, lanky creatures. In my head, it's like Slender Man for some reason. But like the
Ooh.
female.
I can see
that
that
like
though.
yeah. They like to hoard and feast on trash. They have 4 arms, long black hair, and blue velvet skin. Ooh. They consume memories from the bits of trash they eat and purge them as luminous, sticky tendrils they pull from gaping holes in their hands. Ugh. Using these tendrils to decorate their lairs. Ugh. And these creatures are verbal, which is just even more terrifying.
Yeah.
So I didn't really find any other facts about this creature online, but we do know from the book that it's featured referencing the bargains it's made with Fae who were bold enough to encounter it. They're called velvet trogs because their skin gives off that velvety appearance, which is kind of disturbing. And the one Veya encounters is also described to have that blue velvety skin. And we also know that from Veya's description that the trogs have multiple eyes, and most fan art depicts them with 3 eyes, which is interesting. And also more terrifying. This might be the most terrifying. All right, our next creature is a Smox, and we only get one reference of this creature, so we don't know a lot, but we learn in Con and Rave's Scrippy card game about these Smoxi, which is almost more scary than Ole Troggy. It's a black swirling splotch that can transform into any creature immediately inheriting its strengths. Yikes. So it could become Ole Troggy. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's like basically like a shapeshifter. Ugh.
Dang. I wonder if we're going to encounter one in future books. Maybe. All right, let's talk about Miskuns. These are knee-high creatures with white hair and complexion, buttony features, and sharp teeth. They have willowy bodies that fold up like a marsupial and long tufted tails. So basically, a cat in my brain. They can see into the future, though these visions are sporadic and subject to change. These creatures are verbal and rare, but very useful. As stated, they can predict the future and also aided in a couple predictions throughout the story. One being when Uno, which was Ruse's Miskin, predicted something sacred about Raeve that was not yet revealed to us. And 2, the Miskin predicted the Great Flurrt would happen within the next 30 Aurora cycles. So they can predict some pretty important things.
Yeah.
All right. Next creature is a waif, which also sounds terrifying. Rare, lanky, fog-like creatures that haunt drapes of mist where they nibble souls in exchange for messages from the dead. These creatures are verbal, and they're described to be very patient, which is also interesting.
Yeah, I remember the waif being featured in the first chapter when Raeve was on her way to the Hungry Hollow and she encountered one on the stairwell. Yeah. It's creepy.
I remember I saw fan art of the waif from this world, and it was so scary. It was like a giant mist man that looked very menacing.
Oh my god. Next, we're going to talk about the Woto, which is a furry creature with big paddled ears, long noses, pronged teeth, and whiskers. They are around 2/3 the size of a regular fae and are prized for being able to steal things from tricky places. They are great hoarders, and these creatures are verbal. So we know from Rave's description of these creatures from her entrapment before her trial and after her trial that the male Wotos have long whiskers with wiggly ends and the females have straight blade-like whiskers. Most fan artists depict them as being a large mouse-looking creature. Every time I look at fan art, I kind of picture Master Splinter. Nice. I want to assume that this is Octomer? This creature's skin is a model of icy shades, allowing it to blend almost entirely with its surroundings. Its numerous vine-like appendages coiled around a mound of gold piled before it. No eyes, Yeah, just a tumorous head, the skin thin enough to garner a view through to its large luminous brain that's throbbing a little. Ugh. Its mouth a pouty pucker that houses a multitude of teeth. They are rare and can weave promises upon flesh, binding them to blood, body, and soul. This creature reminded me of Bob from Monster and versus Aliens. It's literally
Oh my
like
gosh. Okay, well that's how I'm gonna picture him in my head too. Thank you. That fits. The tumorous head, the throbbing little ear.
like me, and then him being able to like to see through, like you can see through Bob from Monsters versus Aliens, and he can kind of like move his shape to blend in with stuff. So I just that's what I pictured when I like wrote this. I was like, it's giving Bob.
All right, time to move on to our mini-series Mix and Match, where Kenzie and I will do 2 to 3 mini-series unique to our podcast every week, and they will be different. So keep tuning in for all of our crazy and unhinged and creative ideas.
Yeah.
Our first mini-series that we're doing today is Who Am I?, where Kenzie and I will pick 2 different quotes from the book, and we have to try and guess, or you guys as fans can guess, who said it. So Kenzie's going to go first. I'm going to get 2 different quotes.
Yes. Okay. So the first quote is, quote, "I'm not your secret. I'm your truth. Who am I?"
Con.
Yeah.
I know my man.
This is during the spicy scene.
Oh my goodness. That's why I know it.
Okay, I remember who said this. Okay, quote, "Seems a shame to feed such a pretty, powerful thing to the dragons." End quote. Who am I? No.
Damn, who was it?
It was Rick Zaros.
Bastard. I should have known. All right. I quite like my head and my cock and living. Who am I?
I feel like this was around the time, like, it was somebody referring to Raeve, right? Am I asking for hints? I can't ask for hints. I don't know. I'm gonna guess.
Of course, you can't get a hint.
I'm gonna guess. I don't know. It sounds like something Pyrock would say.
Yes, you did it. Of course, he would say that. He's basically Cassian on steroids.
Basically.
Oh my god. Okay, my second quote. Wish I could secrete like that. Who am I?
Damn. I'm gonna guess Veya.
Yes.
Oh, it just sounded like something she would say.
Yeah, she was talking to the Velvet Trog and she was like, wish I could secrete like that.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
So disturbing.
So our next mini-series is Mix and Match, and we're basically going to break apart the couples that are going on right now and like put them with different love interests, basically. So interesting. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay. I put together Raeve and Pyrock. Because I feel like they have such a good friendship. And it's so funny. Like, they would just be that couple that's always laughing, you know?
Yeah. Always drunk.
I love her with Con, but it's fine.
Yeah. I like that. My first couple, I went for it. I said Rick, Zaros, and Veya.
I feel like they would rip each other to shreds.
Yeah, but I feel like
probably
they're both
Veya.
like, yeah. I think Veya would be good for him though, because then he'll like actually learn.
He can be rehabilitated.
I don't know. It's Veya.
Still, he's an animal abuser.
I don't know. I think she would be good for him.
All right. Making a case for wrecking Veya, everybody. Mackenzie. All right. Okay, I put together Kaisari and Pyrock. Totally random because we don't know anything about Kaisari. But also I'm like, who is Pyrock gonna fuck?
Oh my god, it would be so funny too, because then if Raeve finally figures out that's her daughter, the way that she and Con would be like so protective over like Kaisari.
Like, oh hell no, you're not dating this dumbass. All right, what's your next one?
Next, I have Con and Essie. Like, after thinking about this, I don't know how I feel about it because I feel like Essie is so quiet and Con is also very mellow. So I feel like this would be like a very boring relationship. But also, like, Essie's really cute. So, like, I don't know. I was just kind of
Isn't she
going
like way
for
younger
it.
than him? But also, like, I guess she's above the age of consent. So, I mean, I guess age gaps don't matter when you're Faye.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. Oh, God. I wrote this one and I did not think it through. It's rather incestuous.
So bad.
Ew, why did I think about that? They're literally siblings. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to delete that.
Ow.
Yeah, I did write Tyroth and Veya, and then I was really tired at the time, so I obviously didn't think it through. I do not condone that shit. All right. Anyways, okay, my next one is Rygun and Leary, which
I
we
love
meet
that.
in next episode.
I love
But
that.
I don't know if Slaughter and Rygun were like flirting or if they were just like cool with each other. Because if Slaughter is his long lost love, I don't feel like it's right. But if it wasn't, then I would totally ship him and Larry.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's hinted, which we'll talk about that next episode. Save all the juicy stuff for next week. My next couple is Ruse and Vrun, or however you say his name.
Brun, brun, brun.
Vrun. I put them together because they're
Yeah.
both Roonies. So cute.
And
We're
they
a
both
Rooney
own a
couple.
curly quill.
Yeah, so cute. I
Oh,
love
they
it.
would be so cute. Except for he would invade her every thought.
Literally.
Because he's a mind webbed and she would never. No.
But also, Uno can predict some of his future too. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I guess it's kind of like
maybe
a
they would
win-win.
get together.
Yeah.
All right, I said Rex, Zaros, and Serene, and I just really feel like they would bring out the worst in each other, but like they would totally be fucking hard.
I feel like that works though. Like
Yeah,
they're both
almost.
they're like oppositions, but at the same time, like they're like same personalities and same end goal. They're weird. I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I was seeing.
Yeah. My last couple was Raeve and Grim. I just went off a whim right here. I was running out of people and I wanted to include Raeve, but I don't know. I feel like Raeve would eat him alive. He's so quiet. But also I think she would also appreciate Grim's quietness because he won't ask questions about her like feelings and she won't have to deal with her emotions.
I feel like they would enable each other's terrible coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And they would just never talk about anything or never face any conflict because they don't want to deal with their trauma.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap on our mini series. So before we close out our episode for today, time for trial by trivia. Each week, Kenzie and I will give each other and you, our listeners, 2 trivia questions each. At the end of our When the Moon Hatched coverage, we will tally up who has the most points between us two, or you guys as fans come up with. We would love to hear your feedback, ideas, and participation in this section. Yeah. Okay, so our current standings, I have 3 points and Mackenzie has 1.5.
So I can either take it all now and really focus until the end of this season, or I like lose and do some dumb shit.
I gotta think of some ideas, but let me know if you guys have any ideas. All right, you want to start us off with one of your questions?
Yes. So,
ready.
In this stretch of chapters, Elwyn and Khan sing a particular song when he comes to visit. What is the name of this song?
The Ballad of Dancing Dragons.
No.
Nope. What is it?
It's the Song of the Silent Sun.
Oh, I would never have guessed that. I completely missed that on every read. All right. You ready for my question?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah.
What is the name of the other member of Khan's inner circle that we have not met yet?
What? Okay. Hold on. We haven't met yet.
He's mentioned a few times.
Yeah. I'm not going to guess that. I don't know.
Roan?
Nope. Doesn't ring a bell.
Roan? Yeah, he went off on something this whole book and he hasn't come back yet. I can't remember where he went, but he's, I guess, another member of the inner circle. I think he might be brothers with someone too. I don't remember.
I almost thought we had the same question because my next question starts off the same way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, what's your next one?
What is the name of the dragon that went rabbit in this stretch of chapters?
Blom.
Damn it. Damn it.
I only know that because I was looking up the mythology. I was looking for different connections. And I was searching, like, what does it mean? And I couldn't find anything.
Figured. I was like, damn it. I feel like she's going to get this question because she talked about dragon names. I almost asked you what the chief's name was instead.
Oh, it's Thrawn. I would have gotten that anyways.
God damn. Well, all right. Hit me with another one.
That's 4 for me. All right. What is the name? Oh, fuck. You're going to get this one. Whatever. What is the name of the cart driver that takes Veya along the wall?
The fact that I already forgot her name. Wait. It's Noelle, right?
Like yes.
Okay.
I was gonna like that. That would have been crazy if you would have missed that.
I was like, wait, I'm blanking. I'm blanking.
Lord.
Okay, I have 2.5. I still got time to come back. I got time. I just need 2 more points.
I think we may do 3 questions next week to really just give her a fighting chance.
Seal the deal. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to help or hurt
what you
me.
think the loser should do. It can be anything. You want to like, my husband will like slap me with whipped cream or something.
I would love to see that.
We're editing that out. I got very dirty.
I wasn't even thinking like that.
I'm super horny. Oh no, we're so horny. Yep. Okay. All right. All right. That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode and appreciate the support you've shown us this early in our adventure.
So join us next Thursday for a brand new episode where we will be covering chapters 77 through 90, pages 587, all the way to the end for your reread or to refresh your memory.
As always, we appreciate any and all feedback from you guys, our wonderful listeners. So reach out to us on our socials. Tell us if you want to talk about books or When the Moon Hatched. We would love to do that. This is a newer podcast, and we want to see it grow and be able to devote more of our time to it with your help. So please take the time to leave us a review. Follow us on social media and all major podcast platforms for a freshly baked episode to be delivered to you next week.
Bye, friends. See you next week.
Bye, lovelies. Take care of yourself and take care of others.